What up, Space Fam? Goes in here from Anime Uproar, back at it again to discuss the latest and craziest updates in the One Piece story. This chapter had some insanely hyped Devil Fruit awakenings among other big reveals and developments, so make sure to stay tuned for this one. If you do enjoy seeing these One Piece videos and want to keep them coming, channel the Pirate King with it and smash that like button with no mercy. Remember, smashing that like button is Pirate King energy and passing is Orochi energy, so choose wisely. If you haven't, make this the video you subscribe, and this is crucial. Hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications or you will miss future One Piece videos. That's just the way it works. And while you wait for the next exciting chapter to drop, feel free to check out my huge and growing One Piece playlist that includes videos on all the Yonko, Warlords, Admirals, and much more. Link to that is in the description. And now, without further ado, let's jump into it, spoilers and all. This chapter is called The Impermanence of All Things. I just mentioned this in one of my last chapter reviews, discussing how foolish it was to believe, as Hawkins did, that the current Yonko system will never change, since before the Yonko there was a Pirate King, and before that the Rocks Pirates, and so on. Everything is in flux. The Yonko are getting older and will eventually have to make way for the next generation. It's just a matter of when. So interesting to see with the title that Oda is hammering in on this message again, and it's sure to be a hype chapter of changes with a title like that. We start away from the battle with Apu and Drake talking, and there are also 3 giant numbers there to boot. And the fact that Drake is even here talking and not fighting means he's probably more open to this talk than we might have thought at first. Apu knows that Drake's a Marine spy and says all he cares about is if he wants to take Kaido down, which of course Drake would like to do. Props to Apu for still laughing and seeming fine after everything he's been through, including being cut down by Zoro. He's definitely worthy of the Supernova title. Yeah, he's not moral, but pirates don't have to be, and the fact that he's talking about backstabbing a Yonko here means he's more strategic than Hawkins was, at least. For instance, Hawkins didn't have to fight Killer at all if he was just looking after himself. Again, we can't be sure that he won't just backstab Drake if Kaido ends up being fine, but he's definitely convincing when he's speaking to Drake, saying no matter how this war ends, the winner isn't going to come out unscathed. There'll be easy pickings. He ambitiously suggests teaming up with Drake and swooping in and stealing victory at the last moment. He makes a lot of sense when he says neither of them have a horse in this race, and thus there's no point for them to go at it. And after the way Queen treated Apu, it's not surprising that he would turn on that unappreciative crew as soon as he got the chance. Obviously, Drake has trouble trusting him, but Apu points out trusting has nothing to do with it, since the arrangement will be mutually beneficial for both of them, adding that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And Apu is right. Even if Drake doesn't want to team up with him as a member of the Marines, it doesn't make sense for him to risk fighting Apu in these numbers to the end when they're not getting in his way, and Kaido is obviously the bigger catch. Depending on what he chooses to do, we'll learn more about Drake's character and sense of principles for sure. I really look forward to seeing how Apu's plans pan out. In no world do I see him swooping in and getting full credit for defeating Kaido and the Straw Hats, but if he teams up with powerful enough allies like Blackbeard perhaps, who knows. Either way, he's a slippery dude and seemingly has a way out whatever happens. If Kaido wins, he could keep pretending to be on his side. If he loses and the Marines come, he'll hopefully have an understanding with undercover Marine Drake. He definitely makes for an interesting antagonist at this point. We then see Hamlet carrying Komachio to safety down the stairs, while Usopp and Nami spot Kinemon's detached legs begging for help. This is an interesting throwback to Punk Hazard, to be sure, and it's hilarious how they first mistake the legs for a torso-less yokai. Usopp hugs the legs, which in and of itself looks hilarious, and tells the legs that are looking for some allies that he's an ally, although of course legs don't have ears and can't hear. So Kinemon is clearly alive, but Usopp does comment on how much he's bleeding. And yeah, it is fitting that Kinemon gets to see the kind of man Momo becomes. Since the legs can't hear, Nami draws the crescent mark of the rebellion on him with her fingers, and he realizes based on this that they are allies. The legs request help, and Usopp rushes over on Hamlet, who just looks so funny as he moves around. We find out that Kinemon is searching for help for Kiku. Kiku is barely clinging to life and needs to be saved ASAP. So even Kiku is still alive, but it's not that surprising since One Piece is infamous for not killing off characters after it's implied that they may have died. Not that it never happens, but it usually never happens. Then there are more character survivals. Kinemon overhears Orochi calling out to Kanjuro. Kinemon thought Orochi is dead, so he's surprised and he thinks that Orochi is unaware of Kanjuro's demise. demise. But insanely, Kanjuro is still kicking. This guy just won't die. Oda decided to jam pack all these still alive moments in one chapter, and I guess by doing so we won't have a bunch of chapters with one person popping up revealing they're still alive. This way he gets a lot of them out of the way at once, and we can focus on other aspects over the upcoming chapters. So Kanjuro is on the brink of death, but still not dead. And don't for a second assume that he'll stop causing trouble just because he's on the brink of death. Oh no. Orochi gets him to paint the burning wrath of the Kurozumi clan with the last strength he has left. He tells Kanjuro, free their souls and free us in a final blaze of glory. So Kanjuro views it as a Kurozumi pact and creates the giant fire creature called Kazembo. This keeps the yokai aspect alive, as Kazembo is a type of yokai. And it's very fitting if you ask me, because this type of yokai is associated with monks who were still attached to life on earth and were thus considered failed Buddhas. They appeared in the form of a mysterious fiery apparition. And as we know, Kanjuro was very attached to the material world and couldn't even let go of old grudges, deciding to hurt, betray, and even kill people who viewed him as a friend because of them. The fire that represents the vengeance of the Kurozumi definitely looks huge and burns people it touches, as well as its surroundings. It can even travel through walls like some kind of ghost, and you obviously can't shoot it dead as some people try to do. In the meantime, Momo is still trying to create the flame clouds and panicking. It doesn't help matters that now a new fire is spreading everywhere and the castle is being choked by flames. Brook just tells Robin to run from the flames because there's no time to fight. We get some great shots reminding us of all the forces in play, including CP0, the samurai, Marco. We also see a great half page of Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji's fight side by side, the Straw Hat Monster Trio versus the Beast Pirates Monster Trio, and seeing that was definitely a treat. Hard to believe we've come this far already. Orochi says the Kozuki forces and emperors will be undone by their own hubris, aka pride. He's just laughing as they fight, knowing about the weapon stockpiled in the basement and how the fire will reach it soon. And I said that Momo would succeed in his Flame Clouds mission, but there would have to be another reason that Yamato went to deal with these stockpiled weapons anyways, and here is a possible reason. Even if Momo is a smashing success, she'll have to get rid of the weapons before the flames spread there. Luckily, being an ice-based Japanese wolf deity should give her the best chance of stopping / slowing down a yokai fire. Orochi also lied to Kanjuro about the pact for them to die with the rest of them because he's waiting for Fukurokuju so they can escape together, saying this pirate war is no longer any of our business. Man, it will be so satisfying when this dude gets his just desserts, just saying. And it goes to show how OP mythical zones are. Even this weak coward could survive so many otherwise lethal attacks because of his Hydra-like powers. I gotta say, I love seeing Yamato's giant wolf form running through the scene. It would be so useful and cool to have someone like this around on the crew. Hashtag Yamato for Straw Hat. She reaffirms to us that Momo will have to slow the island down, even if a bit, so she can get to the weapons at the bottom of the castle and deal with them. Then we jump to the most hype part of the chapter, Big Mom fighting Kid and Law and using insane attacks like Ikoku Sovereignty. Big Mom's really going at it, and then we get a bit of a flashback of Kid and Law talking before this moment. Kid asks Law if he can awaken his ability, and Law says he's not used to it yet, he'd only use it if they were near death since it burns too much energy to use in real battle. And Kid says his is the same, but they're not getting anywhere without it. And although obviously there are drawbacks to using the powers, all I heard and got hyped over was the fact that they both have awakened abilities. So they decide to play their ace cards, which are their awakened devil fruit powers. That is so hype, not one but two awakened supernova abilities targeted towards a Yonko no less. Oda is amazing at making multiple amazing fights happen simultaneously, although I obviously am hyped to see more of Zoro versus King and Luffy versus Kaido and so on. I am totally okay and enthralled with this King and Law versus Big Mom in the meantime. Law uses the move Kroom, which likely refers to chromium, which is poisonous in the body and is lethal if the dose is high enough. He coats his sword with it and stabs through Big Mom. He says the incision is harmless in and of itself, although it looks crazy just stabbing a Yonko through the neck, but as he explains, the Kroom influences the body in other ways. He then unleashes a shockwave and Big Mom starts bleeding from the mouth. Big Mom seems upset but relatively fine afterwards. Now the question is, will this move have lasting damage and effects on Big Mom's body as the name suggests. It should in theory weaken her and slow her down and even get worse as time passes, but again, I'm not sure how anime logic will play itself out in this instance. Anyways, for now, Big Mom is mad and distracted by Law, so it's Kid's time to show his awakening. He uses a sign to make Big Mom become a magnet. All weapons are being drawn to her, and even the steel beams of the tower are being ripped out. Then Kid tells Law to get him out of there, and Law uses his power to make Big Mom and Kid switch places. Thus, Big Mom is supposedly crushed by all the falling debris as Kid screams out, "Punk crash." It's funny how again Law was saying don't tell me what to do before he followed Kid's instructions. Despite how cool Law is, he always seems to be the one who loses it when Luffy or Kid gives him orders. But wow, what a chapter. We're told by the narrator that this is the awakened power mentioned, and again, wow, did it ever look awesome. I find it hard to believe that Big Mom is down for the count, but either way, hopefully the combination attack and especially Law's Kroom attack will have lasting effects and damage on Big Mom, giving them an upper hand. Keep in mind though, they probably won't last long either because of the drained energy they spoke about earlier, so it's really a race to see who drops first. But if Law and Kid awaken their fruit powers, then we can definitely expect 5th Emperor Luffy's awakening too. The question is, has he already awakened and that's why he's able to do so well against Kaido one-on-one? Or are we on the brink of seeing this awakening from Luffy? It would make sense in a shonen story to save Luffy's awakening for after we see Law's and Kid's, and not to mention it would be way more hype if we saw something new, so I do have hopes that we will see something new from Luffy. Like with Law and Kid though, it will probably drain a lot of stamina and will thus intensify the final conflict. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on all this. The chapter once again was called The Impermanence of All Things, and we saw Big Mom get wrecked pretty hard. At the very least, the attack reaffirmed that Big Mom is not invincible. Does anybody think that she's actually down for the count, or at least that she'll be considerably weakened when she gets up? Will we see Luffy's awakening soon in epic fashion? If the Supernova could pull it off, the so-called 5th Emperor should be able to do it too. Finally, let me know what you thought of this chapter and what you expect to see in the next chapter. MVP for me will be shared by Kid and Law this time around. Absolutely amazing to see their awakened powers, and whether temporarily or not, they made a Yonko bleed and then brought her down in epic fashion. Let me know if you agree or have another MVP in mind. But anyways, that is it for this one. Another great chapter with great moments as far as I'm concerned. If you did enjoy this chapter review, you know what to do. Channel the Pirate King within and smash that like button with no mercy. Remember, smashing that like button is Pirate King energy and passing is Orochi energy, so choose wisely. If you haven't, make this the video, subscribe, and this is crucial, hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications or you will miss future One Piece videos. That's just the way it works. And while you wait for the next exciting chapter to drop, feel free to check out my huge and growing One Piece playlist that includes videos on all the Yonko, Warlords, Admirals, and much more. Link to that is in the description. And as I'm recording this, there was construction going on nearby and I couldn't really do anything about it, so sorry about that, but next week it should be normal. And until next time, see you, Space Cowboys.